Welcome to the channel, everybody. My name is Mike, and this is Fantastical Freaky Friday, where we talk about weird stuff. Go ahead, check out our other weird stuff. Go ahead, check it out. I dare you. Maybe you like today's video. Who knows? Now, did you guys grow up thinking you had a Indian grandmother that might have been a Cherokee princess? Because I did, and a lot of white people do. I remember growing up being like, yeah, I'm 16th Native American, I'm 16th Indian, like, what? And before we get into it, like, what I was told was I was Cherokee and Blackfoot. Now, I'll go up and show you the two areas right here on the maps, but one's in, like, Montana and Canada, and one tribe is in Appalachia, like, hundreds of miles, if not thousands. Maybe not thousands, but more than 1,000 miles between the two areas, right? So just like, that doesn't make any sense. But yeah, I was raised by my mom and my dad, but my mom primarily saying on her side, we had an Indian grandmother. My father never did that, and we'll get into why, but just letting you know, that's how I was brought up, was, hey, you're 1/16th Indian. And I'm like, okay, but I look white. My family's white. We're very white Americans. So again, my mother definitely claimed, yeah, your great-great-grandmother, Wampler's grandmother or whatnot, she was not just, again, an Indian, but a Indian Cherokee princess, which, like, doesn't make any sense since there's not really like a feudal system of like a king and a queen and like princes and princesses. Like, I guess you could like be like, no, it just meant the chief's daughter, but like, no, that's usually not right. It's like, that was a little iffy for me. Turns out, just so we can get into it, that more than likely the term Indian princess came from back in the 1700s when white settlers and Indians, a lot of Cherokees, right, went ahead and married their daughters, or the daughters married off to white settlers, and it actually started like a bartering agreement, so the tribe could get, European goods, and the white settlers could barter for like deer skin and other like Native American goods, so they could like actually trade because they had a relationship and they had like a unit that they could talk with and get goods passed between both civilizations, if you will, much easier. So that is incredible, and that did happen. So those settlers would refer to their wives as my Indian princess, or others would refer to them as like, oh, that's just him and his Indian princess. Like, it's a little racist, but kind of endearing. But yeah, so a few years ago, I started looking into my ancestry. And I was using Ancestry.com, but I was like going through being like, okay, my dad's parents and those parents and those parents, and I was getting back generations and generations. But I didn't find Indian in my mom's side. Like, I didn't find any Indian on my mom's side. And I definitely didn't find on my dad's. And this is what I was saying is, like, my dad grew up in Oregon, and his family went to Idaho and then over the north, so, like, Minnesota and, like, into Pennsylvania, up into Maine. And so they didn't grow up, or, like, I had no ancestors through that side, through like the southern parts of America, versus my mom, which had, ancestors in West Virginia and like Appalachia and like where the Cherokee tribes were, right? They were in Appalachia. So like that makes sense that they had some connection with them, and my father's family did not. But going forward, I went ahead and had a DNA test just to find out, and turns out I am that bad bitch. No, turns out that I'm like super white, like almost 100% like white, like French and English. And like there's not a little bit of me that's any Native American Indian. Like there's none of it, just pure European is what I am, which is fine, which is cool, which is great. But the point is, like, okay, now I'm getting proof. No ancestry, family tree going on, no DNA coming back saying anything. But, like, again, this is like my grandmother will just go ahead and be like, no, we were Indians. Like, I was told this. And so, like, what is that about? Well, after that, I actually was listening to Spotify, and I'll go ahead and put the song up here. But this song, this hippie folky song, talks about her Indian grandmother being a princess. And I was like, okay, so it's not just my family being weird, it's a thing. And so looking into it, basically, right, the Cherokee, especially the Cherokee Nation, right, they fought back against the white ways. And again, they did assimilate, right? They had their writing, they went to school, they were adopting like Christianity, they were adopting the white European way, and that's why they were referred to as like one of the 5 civilized tribes, right? If you want to get a little weird with it. And we're not going to talk about the Trail of Tears too much, but a lot of the, not a lot, but some of those tribal people went ahead and escaped that, and because they were fighting, they were seen in the Southern perspective as, you know, a strong people that were resilient, people that were like fighting. And again, they were native to the land, so they had ties to the land. So coming into the 1830s, 1840s, right, the white Southerners started using this, especially around Appalachia, started using this as like weird myth that went through the society that was like, yeah, I have an Indian grandmother, as like one to say I'm Southern, like I'm proud, I'm here, I'm part of the land, to kind of give more importance to you as, hey, like our people have our roots here in Southern America, like we're American, like I have an Indian grandmother, like I'm American as American can get, which is just funky. But those people that started this weird myth and story and joke started like telling their grandkids and then their grandkids, and that's how like my grandmother learned it and thoroughly believed it, because she was told that she had an Indian grandmother that was a princess, a Cherokee princess. And then that went into my mom, and that went into us. And with the age of technology and where we are at, we can fact check those bitches and be like, no, we're fucking not. We're fucking not. So, like, we can stop the passing down of fake news and falseness and just kind of have truth about the whole thing, which is awesome. And maybe this like gave you some insight on your own family, because your family also had the myth that you were a 16th Indian, and we can kind of get away from that joke, that lie, that weirdness, and like, you know, just move into the future knowing who you are, where you came from, and just like being happy with who you are and not lying about a weird thing. Again, this is fucking weird. Anyways, I hope you learned something. If you didn't, leave me a comment down below. If you did, leave me a comment down below. If you loved it, like it. If you hated it, dislike it. If you're here this long, though, you probably didn't like it, or at least you just might like my voice, which, like, it's a pretty solid one. Now, I love you guys. Go out there, spread some love and some hope and some peace to your neighbors. And I'll see you on Sunday for Spiritual Sunday. It's going to be a good one. Talk to you guys later.